Hi everyone, welcome to the Global Travel Channel podcast show. I'm your host Mark Philpott, and on the show I talk to people all across the world about their incredible travel experiences. Oh yeah, time for another podcast, folks, and this is the channel you come to when you want to hear inspiring stories about travel. And today is no different. And at the moment, while we're all in lockdown, we can do a lot of planning for our next vacation, our next trip away, our next school break, whatever it might be. So I'm endeavouring to get as many people on the show as guests as I can to tell you about different places that you might be interested in going and different things that you can do when you get there. So today I've got another incredible guest. She's actually got her own podcast about travel and is doing a fantastic job on that. She's also a travel writer, travel blogger, and she's got many, many other strings to her bow as well. But today we're going to be talking about one of her favourite subjects, and that is the country in which she was born. And that country is in the United Kingdom, and it is called Wales. Yes, we're going to explore Wales today. And if you haven't been to Wales yet, then I think you're going to have lots of good reasons to book a trip after you listen to the show today. So why don't we get on and meet my wonderful guest today. Her name is Pip Jones. Pip, welcome back to the Global Travel Channel podcast show.
Hey, thanks for having me on again.
Should I call you Pip Jones, Portia Jones, or Pip in the City?
Pip Jones is fine. For those who may know me, my name's Portia Jones, but I go by Pip Jones because that's been my nickname since I was about 4 due to an obsession with Pippi Longstockings.
I was going to say, back in the day in my generation, we only had one name. You're lucky you get a bunch of names these days.
Right.
So how are you today, all right?
Not too bad, just doing a lot of work right now, so keeping very busy at the moment, lots of things going on. What about yourself?
Yeah, fantastic. And I wanted to ask you about some of your work because you are a fellow podcaster, and I wanted to ask you how you're enjoying doing your podcast show.
It's really good, yeah. So with Travel Goals, what we're doing is we're interviewing people from various sectors of the travel industry about how the coronavirus is impacting them and their business and destinations and all that kind of stuff. So I've spent a busy few days interviewing various people from the travel sector, from tourism bureaus, tour guides, travel journalists, all that kind of thing, as to how the crisis is impacting them and their business, but also in an uplifting way as to what positive steps they're taking to ensure that, you know, travel continues in the future, and, you know, we can all get excited about destinations and how we can get back to normal as quickly as possible. So they're actually quite uplifting episodes, really. I think I'm like you, Mark. I don't want to dwell on doom and gloom. I want to stay positive. I want people to stay excited about travel and all the travel that can happen in the future. So that's kind of the ethos of the episode. So I've basically been living in the studio for the last couple of days, doing lots of interviews and drinking a lot of coffee.
Oh, there we go. And is it Welsh Coffee? Do they have good coffee in Wales?
We actually have a few coffee suppliers, such as Cardiff coffee as well. So we have a couple of Welsh coffee suppliers. Obviously, we can't grow coffee here in Wales. We don't have the climate, but we do have some coffee companies that kind of, I believe, process the beans that they get from abroad and sort of do all these nice sort of Welsh packaging. So yeah, we do have nice coffee, but my lovely mother actually had a coffee machine sent to me because obviously we're on lockdown here in the UK, and I love doing a bit of work in coffee shops because my husband's a music producer. So sometimes when he's doing music and it's the same bit of music over and over again, I like to escape to you know, like they do to people in Guantanamo. I like to escape to a coffee shop to do some work. So, and I can't do that right now. So I was kind of having an unusual bit of a moan because I'm not really a moany person, and my lovely mothership had a coffee machine sent over, so I am enjoying that right now.
You know what? I'm going to have to get your husband on the next show with me because you've done two shows. Well, this is your second show with me, and both shows now you've mentioned things about your husband. So I've got to give him the right of reply, I think. So I might
Do
have
you
to
know
get
what
him
would
on the
be a
next
good
show.
interview is talking to him about what it's like being married to a travel writer, because he didn't do a whole bunch of traveling until we met, and now I drag him on lots of
Mm.
trips around the world. So it'd be nice to hear his perspective on it.
Well, it would do, and it'll be interesting to see what the impact is on the relationship after the podcast episode.
Right.
Okay,
Definitely,
well,
you'll have to invite him on.
I'll put that in my notes to remember on that one. I think that's a good idea. Now, today we're going to talk about something that you're very passionate about, and that's your beautiful country. And I've got listeners all over the world who are probably sitting down at this period of time and thinking, right, where am I going to go next when I'm allowed to travel again? And maybe Wales is a place that they can come and visit. So how about we give them a pretty good insight to your beautiful country? And I thought we'd start off today because I'm sure if I went out onto the streets here in Australia and asked everybody to tell me where the border between Wales and England actually goes, I don't think many people would be able to tell me the actual geography of it. So do you want to give us a little bit of a geography lesson to start off with and tell us exactly where the border of Wales runs across the United Kingdom?
Oh gosh, so Wales is that a jutting out bit on the left of the UK that you can see? And personally, the best way to explain the Welsh geography is when you're actually in England, if you cross over the border, so you drive down the road, because obviously there's no actual physical borders or anything like that, you drive down the road and all of a sudden you'll see the Welsh language on signs. So that's like your first indication that you have entered Wales, is that we have everything is bilingual here. So we have Welsh language and we have English language. So Cardiff, for example, where I'm from, is Caerdydd in Welsh. So that's the best way to explain the geography. Really, is as soon you'll know when you're in Wales as soon as the language changes. So you'll drive down the road, and there you'll see it.
So basically, when you get to a sign where you can't understand one of the words on the sign, you're in Wales.
Yep, that's how we do things here.
So, well, let's take that as a reference point. If you are driving down from London to Cardiff, how long out of London before you hit the Welsh border, roughly?
So if you're coming from London to Cardiff, you'll actually have to drive over the Severn Bridge, or it's recently been renamed, to the Prince of Wales Bridge. And that takes about 2.5 hours, like everywhere, depending on traffic. But you'll actually drive over the bridge. So that's a kind of really nice way of entering, actually. You drive over the River Severn, and then, you have the Croesio signs, which means welcome to Wales. So if you're coming from London, you'll be driving down the M4. You'll cross over the bridge. So it's definitely feels more like you're entering into somewhere if you come from somewhere like London or Bristol, because you have to enter via the bridge.
From a tourist perspective, do most of the tourists that come into Wales, do they come via England first, or do they come directly into Wales?
I mean, I can only answer, I suppose, from my own personal perspective, from having met travellers, from around the world on my many travels. And from what I understand, travellers coming to the UK tend to fall into two categories. Either they're just coming in and they're just focusing on London, Oxford, all those kind of places. Wales doesn't even register to them because we're not massively well known. Or you get people like my friends there from the States who come over with the intention of seeing more of the UK. So they'll nearly always start off in London because everyone wants to visit London. But they'll also make trips to Scotland, Ireland, Wales, all that kind of thing. So from my understanding, people tend to fall into those two categories. I don't know of many people from abroad travelling specifically to Wales unless they're massively into outdoor stuff, because we have a lot of outdoor stuff going on around here. So, but honestly, that's kind of what we're working on in Wales at the moment. We've got these amazing natural resources. We've got mountains, we've got lakes, we've got, mountain biking, canoeing, like hiking, all these incredible things. We've got beautiful award-winning beaches. And we're trying to shout about it and let people know, we're here, like come and see us. Don't get me wrong, London's great, England's great, but I really feel in terms of landscape, heritage, culture and language, we've got something really different and something really unique to offer here in Wales.
Fantastic. Well, that's exactly why you're on the show today, is to give you the opportunity to shout from the rafters and bring everybody into your beautiful country. So why don't we start off telling them a little bit more about the details? What's the do you know what the population of Wales is today?
It's roughly about 3 million people, so we're not a big country.
And the capital city is Cardiff, of course.
Cardiff, Cardiff. Yep, that's where I am right now.
Now, a lot of people, when they travel, they want to become familiar with the time zone. So what time zone are you in on Wales?
So it is currently 9 a.m. here at the moment, and it's actually a lovely sunny day.
So compared to Central European time, you're 1 hour behind, is that right?
Yes. So okay. It would be 10 o'clock in, say, Amsterdam right now.
Yeah, right. Now, for someone coming to Wales who wants to do, and you made reference to it, and we're going to talk a lot more about it during the show, I'm sure, you made reference to a lot of outdoorsy type stuff to come. So would it be based on that, assuming a good time of the year to come to Wales would be in the summertime?
I mean, it's a funny one with Wales. I actually think sort of springtime's the best time to come. We tend to get a lot of really nice weather round about springtime or round about autumn. Sorry, excuse me, Mark. So round about springtime. So actually, the last week or so has been absolutely lovely weather. No rain, really nice sort of like dry weather, not too warm. So yeah, I think for me, the best time in Wales is springtime, especially because you can see all the lambs. So if you're driving through the countryside, you'll see lots of little lammies everywhere. Or in the autumn time, because autumn time tends to be nice weather, the leaves are changing, but also, Mark, it's rugby time.
Absolutely.
And that is the best time to be in Wales, is when the rugby's on. That is when, the country is at its best.
You'll be pleased to hear that I've saved 90% of the show today to talk about rugby.
Oh, fantastic.
Actually, I'm just going to get you back for another show one day and we'll just talk rugby the whole time.
I would love that.
Absolute necessity. But so for everybody listening around the world, we're talking about springtime in Europe. So it's right now. It's the beautiful weather's happening right now that Pip's referring to. And the autumn time is obviously later on in the year, around October, November time. So that's those are Pip's choices anyway, when you should actually visit. Because is summer really crowded? Do you get a lot of people there in the summertime?
I mean, you can do in the tourism hotspots like Snowdonia, North Wales, but it's British weather. It can be pretty unpredictable. So if you plan your holiday to come in August, you could get sunshine or you could get 2 weeks of rain. Like there's no telling. And the last couple of years, I've just personally felt that the best weather has been spring and autumn, personally.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. Right, well, let's get into a tour of Wales. I've got some, let's say, off-the-cuff questions here I'm going to ask you at the end of the show today to test your general knowledge about your own country.
I'll try.
And see what you know. But before we get into that, let's imagine we've driven down the road from London and we've arrived at Cardiff, and we're now going to start our whole schedule of having a look around Wales. First of all, arriving in Cardiff, what kind of options do we have from an accommodation point of view?
So you've got a range in Cardiff. You've got your traditional B&Bs. If you're more of a budget, we've got a couple of really nice hostels, including a brand new YHA, which is really nice. We've also got a hostel called Nostar, which is right by the river with a fantastic view of the Millennium Stadium. We've also got Airbnbs as well, if that's more your thing. We've got guest houses. We've got, your sort of familiar chain hotels. Like we've got the Park Plaza, we've got the Marriott, we've got a Hilton as well. So there's a really good spread of accommodation in and around Cardiff. So it entirely depends on your own preference and budget, really. I think the Marriott's a really nice place to stay. The Hilton is right in the centre. So if you're someone that enjoys being in the centre of everything, the Hilton's a really good option. It's right opposite the castle. So there's not actually many hotels, so you can stay in a city centre, which gives you a castle view, is there, Mark?
No, that's exactly right. Now, I was going to ask you about in terms of booking and preparations, because I want to help the listener out from a logistical point of view today as well. Would you say that it's a necessity to book your accommodation in advance when you go to the bigger cities?
Definitely, because we do have a lot of events here in Cardiff. We've got a big arena which has a lot of concerts. We've mentioned rugby. Oh my goodness, if you want to visit during the rugby, book months in advance. Like if you're visiting Cardiff, that is the golden rule, because it can get really, really busy doing things like the autumn internationals. So, just be aware. What I would always suggest with Wales, Cardiff more so than anywhere else really, is when you know your dates, just check, just do a Google, see what events are on in Cardiff at that time, just so you can get an idea of what accommodation availability is going to be like.
Okay, good idea. And I would just add to that, because you did bring up the topic of rugby again, if the All Blacks are in town, then it goes even more crazy. So
absolutely wild.
Yeah, absolutely wild. So, there's rugby and then there's rugby. And when the New Zealanders come to town, because you've got to understand that half of New Zealand's living in London, and when the All Blacks play in Cardiff, then there's a lot of people heading towards Cardiff for that weekend, that's for sure.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, so one thing I'm interested in is the old B&B wars, because I've had a Scottish lady on my show, I've had an English lady on my show, and they both swear that their B&Bs in their countries are much better than anywhere else. So what is the B&B in Wales got that differentiates them to anywhere else in the UK?
If I'm being completely honest, I think the best B&Bs and small guest houses are actually outside of Cardiff. There's a lot of amazing independent accommodation in areas such as the Cambrian Mountains, which we'll talk about in a bit. It's one of my favourite parts of Wales. And up in North Wales, seaside, your traditional British seaside B&Bs. I'm not saying the B&Bs in Cardiff aren't good. They are. From a personal perspective, I think the better ones are outside of the city. That's just my opinion, though.
What makes a great B&B for you?
I think the welcome as well, and all the little extras. Do they give you a nice coffee machine in the room, slippers? Weirdly enough, I have like my little creature comforts, and I weirdly love it if you get like something like slippers to use or something like that is really nice. And just in terms of character of the building, the reason I mentioned North Wales is because some of the B&Bs there are in these sort of traditional, the kind of Georgian architecture, those big houses with the big bay windows. I love those. Like it feels really regal and kind of has that really nice seaside feel. So those are some of my favourites as well. So just kind of coziness, character, the kind of welcome you get. I love B&Bs where the owner comes to, introduces themselves, has a chat, all that kind of thing. It kind of makes it feel a bit more special then.
When I've travelled, and tell me if I'm wrong with this from your perspective, but when I've travelled a lot around the UK and stayed in B&Bs, I find that a lot of the owners have been doing it for many, many years, and therefore they've really got an art down to how to run a B&B properly. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. Like people who've been in the business for a long time. They know the pattern, they know how it's done, they know how to make guests happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so before we leave Cardiff, what are the things that we must see in the city? What are the must-dos when we're in Cardiff, and how many days would you suggest that we stay in Cardiff to have a good look around?
I'd say 2 days, really. Cardiff's a really small city. We've got a lot going on, but there's we're really well positioned because we've got the beautiful Brecon Beacons. If you drive a bit north, we've got coastlines to the south. Of course, you can continue driving north to North Wales. So, we've got a lot of really nice surroundings, but the city's kind of small and compact. You can basically walk from one end to the other in about 25 minutes. So it's a small place, but top things to do, I would say, is go down Cardiff Bay, which is our beautiful waterfront area, lots of nice pubs and restaurants with a lovely view. You can hire bikes down Cardiff Bay, and you can do a really nice cycle route around there, stop off and have some drinks at the pub as well, because bikes and beer, that's a win, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's things like that. There's also a lot of really nice foodie places. So we've got really nice independent restaurants and cafes and all that kind of stuff. And what I'd recommend is trying to find some places that do traditional Welsh food as well. So you can try, there's a place called Pettigrew's, and it's a tea house that's basically part of Cardiff Castle.
Right.
Yeah, it's really nice. So it's a part of the castle that was renovated, and now it's a tea rooms, and you can have like bara brith, which is a traditional type of Welsh cake. You can have like afternoon tea there. So that's a really nice thing to do.
Proper scones? Do they have proper scones there with proper cream?
Have proper scones, homemade cakes. Now, one of the best things to explore the foodie scene in Cardiff is to go on a food tour. So there's a company called Loving Welsh Food, which does incredible tasting tours of Cardiff, and they'll take you round to the traditional Cardiff market, which has been going for, I think, 100 years plus. You can try some Welsh delicacies there. They'll take you to a deli where you can try some Welsh cheeses. They'll take you to Pettigrew's as well, where you can try some sort of like Welsh bara brith there and all that kind of stuff. And Sian, who runs it, is incredible. She knows so much about Wales and the food scene and the culture. She's a Welsh speaker as well. So definitely I'd say one of the top things to do is to do this food tour. It's absolutely incredible. And Sian is so knowledgeable, and she'll tell you so much about the city as you eat your way around as well. So definite big tip from me.
These food tours are becoming big things all over the world, I've noticed, and here in Australia as well. There's lots of things happening in the food tours. Is this one that you're talking about, is it done on foot? You go from place to place by walking?
The Cardiff one is, yes. Sian does other tours as well, some of which involve transport because they're different parts of South Wales, but the Cardiff tasting tour is done on foot, and you'll actually walk through some of the nice park area, Butte Park, which is the gardens that surround Cardiff Castle, because Cardiff actually has got a lot of parklands. So the Victorians loved creating these beautiful parklands and all this kind of stuff. So that's another top tip for Cardiff, really, is get out and do some walking in Butte Park. There's also Roath Park with a big boating lake on it, which has lots of swans and all that kind of stuff in. So yeah, it's funny. The funny thing about Cardiff to me is it's actually sometimes quite hard to describe what there is for visitors to do, because I always think of Cardiff as more of a great city to live in, if that makes sense. I think another tip from me would be, if you can, book a walking tour, be it the food tour, or do both. Book a food tour, and then they also do like walking tours, history tours, because Cardiff, you might walk into it and think, oh, maybe there's not so much to do here, but there really is. You just need locals to show you the really cool and interesting places. Like, we've got one of the UK's oldest record shops called Spillers, and you just never know that unless someone told you. It's this really cool, like, independent record shop that you can go in. We've also got a local tradition called Clark's Pies. And everyone in Cardiff knows what a Clark's pie is. It's this kind of like meat pie you can get in the Cardiff market. And again, Cardiff market's a really cool place to explore, lots of independent little retailers, but you wouldn't necessarily know these things. We also have pop-up food festivals and a little bit of a street food culture. But what I'd say the thing about Cardiff is, unless you've really researched it, or you know a local, or you go on a tour, you might miss all the really good like local stuff. So that would be a big tip from me, is if you can, book some tours, because that way you'll get your best information. Talk to your tour guide, get them to tell you the insider information. Where do you go for like the best pasty or the best cup of coffee? Ask them to tell you where you can go somewhere to see some old like Victorian architecture, the beautiful Victorian shopping arcades that we've got, which are really old as well and full of independent shops. It's all that kind of thing you might miss unless you talk to locals here.
I was going to ask you about this because I wanted to know whether you're a travel blogger and you get around all over the place, but are you somebody that goes to information centres in towns and cities to gain that local knowledge that you're referring to, or do you do everything online?
100%. Like when I arrive at a new destination, one of the first things I do is I book a walking tour.
Yeah.
I personally, I love the free ones, where you tip at the end as well. Those are really, really good. Great if you're on a budget as well. But not just because, you can have a walk around the city and learn about history, just because the guide is there for you to ask questions. So when I was in Lisbon, I was asking the guide lots of questions, not just about the history and the culture, which is important, but also like, where do I get the best natter? Like, where are the best restaurants? Like, tell me something unique, give me insider tips. So that's what I tend to do when I go to a destination is, if possible, on day one, I'll do a walking tour just so I can get my best information from a local.
Yeah. So these information centres that I'm referring to, are they out of date now? They don't. So if I arrived in Cardiff and I went to an information centre office, they wouldn't have all the things that you're talking about to us?
I mean, information centres are great. You can pick up your leaflets, get a lot of information like that. I mean, it's just personal preference to me. I just enjoy doing the walking tours and actually walking around a city, talking to someone and asking questions and getting them to point out good restaurants and all that kind of thing. That's just my personal preference, though.
Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people listening who are going to ask, okay, well, how long do these walking tours take? And, are they okay for elderly people that might have a little bit more trouble walking around a city?
I mean, it really depends because I think Sean's ones last a couple of hours. I think the history one is a little bit shorter. But what you can also do is a lot of cities now do things like Airbnb experiences. So you could book local guides through that. And if you're booking a private tour as well, you can tailor it to your own sort of like needs and requirements. So if you're perhaps elderly or you've got certain needs and requirements, I would maybe think about booking a private tour because then that can be sort of like adjusted to your particular needs and wants.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, anything else that we need to see in Cardiff before we head on out of Cardiff?
If you're there doing rugby season, definitely try and see a rugby game. Absolutely. Even if it's the Cardiff Blues, which is the local team, I just think rugby's so like intrinsic to Welsh culture that if you're there during that time, it's one of the best things you can do. So definitely, if you can see a rugby game or a bit of live music, because we've got like a little bit of a live music scene here as well. So definitely check out some live music venues as well. Fuel's, if you like your rock music, Fuel's a good one. Or we've got Club Bach, which is a Welsh club, which has lots of local bands and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, live music and rugby, those are two really good things to do in Cardiff.
Where do I go to see Catherine Jenkins singing?
Oh my goodness, is she still around? Is she a thing?
I think she is, yeah.
I'm not up to date on these things.
I thought she was the Welsh superstar.
I know. Well, she was massive a few years ago, but I think she's gone a little bit quiet, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. So that's something to Google after the show, isn't it? What happened to Catherine Jenkins?
She sang the Welsh anthem at the rugby one time I saw.
She did, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just for everyone listening today, the first time I met Pip online was we were doing a show the night that Wales was playing a game of rugby in the Rugby World Cup. And every 60 seconds I would get a text message from Pip saying, hang on, it's going longer, I've got to wait, see who's going to win this. It was a nail biter, wasn't it, Pip?
Yeah, it really was. We do love our rugby here.
I wrote down on a piece of paper that one day in my bucket list, I've got to go to the Millennium Stadium and watch a rugby game with this girl because it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a great time, honestly.
Okay, back to the tour of Wales. So we've done Cardiff now, and where are we off to, and how do we get around Wales? Is it hire car? Is that the best way to get around?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. Like if you were just doing places like Cardiff to Swansea, you could do the trains, but honestly, I think hire car is probably your best bet. What I would do is, if you're coming from London, you could easily get the train from London to Cardiff. So I wouldn't hire a car in London and then drive here. I would just get the train or the bus over and then hire a car once you're in Cardiff. You don't need a car for your time in Cardiff. Cardiff is a very small walkable city, but when you're looking to leave the city, that's when I would hire a car.
Yeah, that's a good tip. So don't go wasting the money when you arrive in London if you're going down. Get on the train, as Pip says, and sit back and relax and then have a good walking tour. And after you've eaten all those wonderful pies that Pip's mentioned, you'll want to walk some of that off before you get in a car anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we pick up the car and we head off to where? Swansea.
You could do so. It depends. Like there's several, like a lot of countries, there's several different routes. So you could do the coastal route. You could go to Swansea and the Gower. It really depends on how long you've got in Wales. Or what you could do is you could drive up north from Cardiff and you could hit the Brecon Beacons, which is our national park area. And it's absolutely stunning. So you could stay in and around Brecon Beacons. We've got some lovely guest house, but also some nice fancy spa hotels as well. You could stay in a place called Llandovery as well. So that's in the Brecon. It's on the border with the Cambrian Mountains, all that kind of area. So if you like your outdoor stuff, so if you like lots of hiking and stuff, Brecon Beacons is a beautiful place to go. You could climb Pen y Fan, which is one of the mountains there. That's a really well-known area of Wales, beautiful views, all that kind of stuff. There's also quite a few waterfalls in that area as well. Mm-hmm. What I would say is you could hire a car and do it all yourself. You can just do the research online like you would any trip, go and see the waterfalls and the Brecon Beacons, climb Pen y Fan, or you could go on a tour. I know there's like the Real Wales tours. They'll take you around the Brecon Beacon area. So you could book a tour with them if you're short on time or you want to be led around. You don't want to spend all your time doing research. You could just jump on a tour with those guys as well. Similarly, there's a company in Wales called Big Blue Adventures, and they do tours and packages with a real outdoor education feel. So I think they mostly do groups and stag and hen do's, but they might do, like, if you're traveling in a small group, they might be able to hook you up. If you're looking to do staycation in Wales, glamping, coast steering, gorge walking, all those kind of things, those guys are the real experts at doing lots of outdoor adventure type group packages. So, I mean, Wales is it's really good in that you could do it all yourself, or you could book tours and packages and have someone do it for you. So if you're looking to do it yourself, obviously, cheeky plug, I've got some good guides on my website, Pip in the City, or you could also check out Visit Wales, which is our tourism board, and they've got lots of articles, resources and information on their website as well, and they're really good at giving lots of information. So I would personally head up to Brecon and the Cambrian Mountains way, because if you're looking for a unique kind of side of Wales, these destinations can give it to you. I was actually recently in the Cambrian Mountains. I did a whole week exploring the area because I'm doing a series of travel articles on them, and I can honestly tell you it is a stunning, remote, beautiful area with lots of Welsh language. So it's wonderful to hear people speaking the language. It sounds incredible. It's lovely to walk around these small towns and villages like Tregaron and all those kind of places, and just hear this really old and really beautiful language.
Now, when it comes to that, I'm just going on my memory here, I'm probably totally wrong, but the north and the west areas of Wales is really where the most of the Welsh is spoken, isn't it?
Yeah, North Wales is predominantly Welsh speaking. We've got a lot of Welsh speakers in Cardiff as well now, because there's been a real push in the last 20 years. So both of my nephews are fluent Welsh speakers because they go to Welsh school.
I'm interested when you talk about Visit Wales, the travel board there. How do they promote your country? What's their main, identifiers when it comes to come and visit Wales? What are they plugging along?
I think just from my understanding, they do a lot of themes that sort of alternate over the years, and just promoting the various aspects of our natural resources and all the different sort of areas you can visit. I know there's a big push at the moment for more sort of like off the beaten track parts of Wales as well, because people know about Snowdonia and about North Wales. People know about our beautiful coastlines, but there's whole parts of Wales that perhaps people might not be so familiar with.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about explaining to people about all our amazing resources, about the language, about the awesome things you can do, and about a lot about the outdoor adventures as well, as I mentioned before.
So when it comes to the hiking, for people listening today, it's not obviously like the Himalayas and trekking through that kind of terrain, but at the same time,
Oh gosh, no.
At the same time, it caters for everybody, doesn't it? In terms of you don't have to be super fit, but there are some, challenging hikes as well that you can do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've got Snowdon is a really nice hike as well. That's the highest mountain in Wales, in the Snowdonia National Park. That's a lot of people who are into walking and hiking are familiar with Snowdon. They kind of know all about that, and that's definitely, if you're into outdoor stuff, that's definitely an area to explore. The surrounding countryside of that is amazing as well. So Snowdon should definitely be on your list. But we've also got things like we've got some gorgeous and challenging mountain bike trails in the Elan Valley.
Right.
In the Cambrian Mountains. So a few weeks ago, I was doing some kind of like off-roading through the most insane landscape in the Elan Valley, and we didn't see anyone. So I went with a company called Mountain Bike Wales. Shout out to them. Those guys are awesome. Amazing bikers, friendly people, loads of tips about the areas. And I went biking with them, and they took me through this incredible terrain past like all these sheep and just through these like remote, rugged Welsh landscape. It was just absolutely insane. We didn't really see another person because, like I said, there's these whole parts of Wales which have this remoteness and this wildness to them that's just incredible. And for me, I'm just really excited to kind of tell people about these areas because I think a lot of people, even perhaps in the UK, are unaware of them, and they're just amazing. So if you like your mountain biking, Elan Valley.
That's a good one to plug because the mountain bike scene's going off around the world as far as mountain bike tourism goes. There's a lot of governments that are putting a huge amount of money into developing mountain bike trails. So there you go, Wales. Put Wales on the map for mountain biking. Get over there, people, and get around the whole UK on a mountain bike because there's lots of fantastic trails. Now, we can't go forward any further when we're talking about hiking without mentioning some of the coastal hikes, Pip. So do you want to throw a couple of those in for us?
Oh, definitely. So in the last, I'd say, maybe 10 years ago, they created the Wales Coast Path, which means that there's like a series now of connected paths which will take you around some of the most amazing coastlines. So definitely good places to go for walks are in and around the Gower area, which is to the west. So Worm's Head, because we love silly names in Wales. Oh, where am I going hiking? I'm going Worm's Head, I am. So yeah, around about the Gower sort of area has amazing coastal walks around there and really nice sort of like stops for fish and chips and cups of coffee and all that kind of thing. So if you want to see award-winning beaches, definitely the Gower, Swansea area, around the Wales Coast Path, that's where you want to be. It's absolutely breathtaking, really nice place. So if you're into your hiking and all that kind of stuff, as I said, Brecon Beacons, Cambrian Mountains, hiking, mountain biking, all that kind of stuff, really nice walks. Like your coastal walks, definitely head towards the west. Swansea, Pembroke as well, Tenby, all those kind of areas. So you just keep going west and you'll pass all these like glorious sort of coastal towns, like I said, like Tenby and all those kind of places that have amazing beaches, amazing coastal walks, lots of nice places to eat. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely head towards the west of Wales.
So with this coastal walk, is there the ability there to spend many days hiking along where you can get your luggage already taken to the accommodation at the next stop and those sorts of things?
I've not heard of where you can get your luggage taken to the next stop. I mean, perhaps it's possible. I would say to your listeners to look into that. But definitely if you're sort of like a self-sufficient hiker and you can, pack your own tent and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, there's definitely opportunities to do a longer hike. If you're not into that kind of thing, if you're not, trying to do a Cheryl Strayed, there's definitely really good day hikes. So, you could stay somewhere like a B&B, a hotel, etc. In Swansea, in the Gower, and definitely do some really nice coastal walks and some really nice day hikes as well. So it's a bit of catering for everyone, really. You can go down by the Mumbles as well. So that's a really nice part of the Gower area. It's known for its nice walks, but there's also some really nice pubs and places to eat and boutique shops. We've also got, like, if you're into old architecture, the old Victorian pier, the classic British seaside stuff. So you can go along and see that. So that's really nice.
So everybody's sitting down now listening and thinking, okay, I'm going to go out there and do all this exercise every day. When I get back to my accommodation at night, what am I going to have on the menu to eat? So can you tell us about some of the fares that are on the menu in some of these places?
Oh, I can indeed. So if you're on the coast, obviously, one of my faves, fish and chips, obviously. But you can also try Welsh delicacies. We've got cockles, if you're into that. So that's really nice. They're like, I don't know they're like a type of mussel, I think. Like, like the seafood kind of stuff. So anyone that's Google cockles after you're exactly.
Don't you eat cockles and lava bread for breakfast?
Not every day, just special occasions. So we've got lava bread as well.
That's a weird Welsh thing, isn't it? Cockles and lava bread for breakfast.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Like I said, Welsh cakes as well. They're really nice. Bara brith. So you can do a cawl. So cawl is like a sort of like Welsh kind of hearty stew, and it's got like lamb and vegetables. It's really nice. So if you get the opportunity to have some cawl for lunch or dinner, definitely do that. We've also got Welsh rarebit, which is a very posh way of saying cheese on toast. So try some of that as well. Welsh lamb as well. So if you get the opportunity to have any, if you're, a carnivore like me and you like your meat dishes, then definitely any opportunity you get to have some Welsh lamb, take it because it's really good. Obviously, we do a whole range of international dishes as well. We've got a sort of growing gastropub scene, foodie scene in Wales. So I mean, it's all your classics really. If you are on the coast, do try and have fish dishes. You can also ask if the fish is like locally caught as well, because I know in the case of West Wales and places like that, you can definitely get some locally caught fish. So that's really nice. We also do a lot of trout in Wales as well. So you can also order locally caught trout. I did that recently when I was in the Cambrian Mountains, and that was stunning. We actually have trout a lot, me and my husband, because my dad fishes and my nephew is an award-winning trout fisher.
Oh, wow.
of Wales. So yeah, my 12-year-old nephew catches us trout. So
wow.
So we have that a lot in Wales. So any sort of fish dishes really, but don't be afraid to ask. A lot of restaurants and cafes are really proud to serve sort of local produce and have a real emphasis on seasonal produce as well. So yeah, just kind of ask the staff what's available. Is there anything local? So yeah, we've got really nice local produce here. So any chance to get the opportunity to try it, I would.
A lot of travellers that listen to the show are interested in the different cultural aspects of eating and what time of the day you actually sit down for meals. So what time's the normal dinner time in Wales?
It's funny you say dinner. That's what Welsh people call lunch. We have breakfast, dinner, meaning lunch, and tea. Which is dinner, yeah.
Okay.
So we're not a nation, I don't think, of like, we're not like Portugal. Like no one's having dinner at like 10 o'clock here. It's just the normal, anywhere between 5 and 7 really for tea. That's kind of what we do here. It's restaurants don't tend to be open super late. I remember Jay Rayner. You aware of him? He's like a food writer, critic in the UK. And he likes to rag on Cardiff in particular for like not having restaurants open till like 11 o'clock at night. And, Welsh people are like, dude, who is eating at 11 o'clock at night? Like we're not a nation of like bankers, like city boy, we're mostly public service here in Wales, and he's having a moan, I can't eat 11 o'clock at night. It's like, well, no, because, restaurant staff want to go home at a reasonable hour. This isn't London, this is Wales. So, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you want a late night meal, definitely curry.
Yeah.
Big curry culture here. Got lots of lovely Indian-run restaurants in and around Wales that will do you an absolute stonking curry. So if you are in the mood for a 10 o'clock dinner, definitely check out some of our curry places because you can get some really nice curries.
Also, we should never underestimate the pub culture, and right across the UK, there's nothing better in my eyes than walking into a local pub and breathing in the atmosphere of the local country and the local county, isn't it? Because one, you get great food, you get the locals who are really relaxed and will talk to you about anything, potentially rugby, and you can have a really good night sitting in a local pub, can't you?
Oh, definitely. We've got great pub culture here in Wales. You've got your pubs in Cardiff, you've got your more sort of like rural country pubs, all that kind of thing in and around the rest of Wales. And yeah, it's just lovely scene. You can like talk to the local people, bar staff are normally really friendly. So yeah, definitely go and explore the local pubs and have some really nice food. We've also got a really good craft beer scene here in Wales, so lots of local brews, all that kind of stuff in Wales. So definitely, if you're in a local pub, rather than just having like a Heineken, ask if they've got any locally brewed beers as well. We've got here in Cardiff, we've got Tiny Rebel, which is a craft brewers that supply to all the pubs and stuff. They're really good as well in Cambrian Mountains area. They've also got their own brews as well. So definitely, check out what the local brews. I think more North Wales, I think there's Purple Moose Brewery that does really nice beers as well. So if you are in the local pubs in Wales, do try our local beers because they're really nice.
It's what I love about the craft beer scene is some of the names of these companies that have popped up around the world. They're fantastic as far as the creative names behind some of these beers. So is the
absolutely.
Is the craft beer scene right across the country, is it? It's not just situated or focused on Cardiff?
No, we've got a few around the country. We've also got our own Welsh whiskey, Penderyn, and we've got a distillery here in Wales as well. They also do their own gin called Brecon Gin, which is one of my favourite gins. We've actually got a really nice growing gin culture. We've got here in Wales, we've also got Barty rum. They're really nice as well. So we've got our own sort of like rum. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of local spirits and craft beers, all that kind of stuff in and around Wales. You've just got to ask. Just if you're in a bar or a restaurant, just kind of ask what's local, because I think you'd be pleasantly surprised, especially with Brecon Gin and things like that. They're actually really nice spirits to try.
Pip, what's changed the most about the Welsh travel experience over the last, say, 5 or 10 years? What's evolved in the travel scene in Wales? Has been something in particular that's popped up that's different, unusual, new, innovative? I guess craft beer is one of them, but beyond that, in terms of sightseeing and stuff,
I think our food scene is like getting really strong, and like I said, there's lots of local producers. In Cardiff, there's food events now and food festivals and all that kind of stuff. So I think certainly in the last sort of 5-6 years since I've been back in Cardiff, because I spent most of my 20s working away and being away, and I've only been based back in Wales for the last 6 years. And obviously I travel a lot still because my job as a travel writer, etc. But yeah, that's one thing that's really struck me is the importance of the food scene here in Wales, and how, like I said, we've got craft beers popping up, we've got distilleries and food tours. I never would I have thought that there would have been food tours in Wales when I was younger. It just wouldn't have occurred to me. And I think in Wales, we're really proud of our culture, our language and our heritage, and it's really important to us, and so it should be. But I think what we're trying to do is shake off that kind of fusty Welsh image. Oh, it's all just, male voice choirs and, you know, just singing and just rugby. We do have those things, but I think there's this idea of like, you know, we're kind of cool here in Wales, you know? It's not just about culture and heritage. There are other things you could be doing, like mountain biking or coming to festivals here, or, you know, doing these really cool hikes. We've also started really opening up in the outdoor industry with these really cool experiences. Like we've got these amazing zip wires in North Wales, so you can zip wire over disused quarries. Because of course we've got like mining heritage and all that kind of thing. And what we're trying to do is do things like that, embrace heritage, but do a new spin on it. So for example, in the Cambrian Mountains area, there's these old silver mines from, you know, that have been long abandoned. And there's actually this company, I say company, it's actually this really nice lad, Johan, who'll take you into the mines as a kind of like urban exploration kind of thing. And I think his company is called Mid Wales Mining Tours. So yeah, if any of your listeners want to have a little Google of that, and yeah, they'll take you actually inside, and they're all kind of preserved from when people used to mine in there. So it's kind of embracing our heritage and our culture, but putting a new like spin on it. And it's the same with the zip wires. So we've got these disused quarries, and rather than be like, oh, well, we used to do a lot of mining and a lot of this stuff in Wales, let's just leave it be. No, we'll build a zip wire over it, you know? And it's kind of repurposing these traditions in Wales. And again, you can actually go, I kid you not now, trampolining underground in Wales, in North Wales. Yeah. Oh yeah, in these like disused mines, they've built massive trampolines, like in these old, like I think it was an old slate mine, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. It's crazy.
I hope the roofs are high enough.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely, it's called Bounce Below. It's amazing. And then they've got all these like disco lights, and you go trampolining underground. Oh, it's just like, we're just so innovative in Wales. It's like, oh, we got this old mine. I tell you what, I'll pop a trampoline in it and we'll call it a tourist attraction.
I've got to say, I've never heard ever of any country in the world having trampolines underground as a tourist attraction.
That's not even the weirdest thing. Have you heard?
What else have you got? Bring it on. Bring it on.
Have you heard of bog snorkelling?
Yes, I have.
Oh my goodness.
That's
yes.
more popular than you think.
Yeah. So we actually, here in Wales, obviously someone looked out, saw a bog and thought, I tell you what.
You better tell everyone what a bog is first, because not everyone knows what a bog is.
Well, like a bog is a sort of like, goodness, I never thought I'd be on a podcast trying to describe a bog. So it's kind of like a wet, so it's like almost like a pond. It's a bit
It's a creek.
muddy.
It's like a creek,
yeah.
muddy creek, right? Yeah.
That's the best sort of way I can describe it. So it's kind of a bit, you know, is it like a muddy, boggy sort of wet area. So evidently in Wales, someone looked at that and thought, I tell you what, we'll pop some snorkels on and we'll swim in it and we'll call it a competition. And that, Bog, is exactly what has happened. So now, every year in August, we have like the International Bog Snorkelling Championships. But people, actually, I think an Australian guy recently came second. Oh. He just came over and was like, I'll have a go at that, mate.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Yeah, he'd be disappointed he got second as well.
I actually had a go of it a couple of weeks ago. The lovely guys who run the competition let me have a go. So I found myself in March in Wales racing in a bog. And let me tell you, I am now the fastest bog swimmer this year because no one else has been in a bog.
Goodness gracious.
So far this year. So they took it really seriously. I tell you what, I can send you some pictures or a video clip if you want to tweet it out or put it on Facebook for your listeners to see, so they can kind of get an idea of how bizarre.
Yeah, I do. That's extraordinary. Do you wear a GoPro camera on your head when you're in this bog or what?
You can do. My nice husband was actually filming me and taking some pictures and laughing, obviously.
Yeah. No, send me that. I'd love to send it out and show everybody what bog racing is in Wales.
Yes, so yeah,
This could turn
we
into something big. This could be like the next Olympic sport.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just how we do things in Wales. We like to have a bit of a laugh and not take ourselves too seriously. So bog snorkeling is the epitome of that, of like Welsh humour to me. It's like we'll just tell people it's a sport.
Have you ever been to the World Mobile Phone Throwing Competition?
No, that sounds awesome though.
That's in Finland every year.
Oh my
And
days.
it was originally started by Nokia, funny enough. But now it's one of Finland's major tourist attractions every year. People come from all over the world. I think last year they had 35,000 competitors.
Oh my days.
And you take your mobile phone, obviously one that you don't want to have any longer, and you compete over several different events, but obviously the one is throwing it the furthest. And I think the record last year was 110 meters. Some guy threw a mobile phone 110 meters.
Wow, that is impressive.
But he's got a plaque at home that says, "I'm the #1 mobile phone thrower in the world." How amazing is that?
Oh, I'd love that. I've got a bog snorkeling champion T-shirt that I'm very proud of.
Okay, look, before we get on to my little quick quiz for you here, can you tell my listeners the, let's say, five top spots you must go and visit while you're in Wales?
Oh, that's really good. So I would say Cardiff, obviously the capital. I'm kind of biased because it's my hometown. Go and see some rugby, some live music. If you can, go to Chippy Lane, Caroline Street, as it's otherwise known, for chips and curry sauce at 3 a.m. That's like a Cardiff tradition.
After a rugby game?
Oh yeah, definitely. Go out, watch the rugby, have some cheeky wines, stagger into Chippy Lane at 3 a.m. and have chips and curry sauce. Like that's how we do in Cardiff. Yeah. Go mountain biking in the Elan Valley. Definitely, you won't see landscapes like it. It is absolutely incredible. Then I would go to the Gower. Go and do some coastal walks around that area. Absolutely amazing. Like you won't see stunning coastline like it. It's really, really nice. Have some fish and chips down there. All that kind of stuff. I would then also, if you can, head to the Snowdonia area. You can actually hike up Snowdon, or I think there's a train that will take you a certain way up as well. So definitely go and check out Snowdon as well. It's really, really nice. Also, the Carmarthenshire area. It's a really nice place to visit, nice coastal towns, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Lovely, lovely places. They've also got some strange and wonderful Airbnbs there. So we stayed in a traditional caravan in a place called Melon Mabel's. So yeah, you basically, not in a caravan like a proper traditional, like old style, as if you're in the 18th century.
Yep.
Type caravan, which was amazing. The same site also has a replica spaceship that you could stay in because, like I said, we're wonderfully wacky in Wales. So
I was going to say, have you got a space industry going on now as well?
Right, wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, those are kind of like, I think, my 5 top things for Wales.
Okay, fantastic. I'll make sure I put those in the show notes so people can grab those easily. Okay, I'm dying to get on to my quick quiz with you because I want to see if I can catch you out on a couple of these.
Oh, no.
I'll start off with an easy one so you can just warm yourself up. What's the national drink of Wales?
Oh, gosh. That's... you totally threw me there. I'm like, God, what is the national tea? Presumably, everyone drinks tea.
Do you know that it's actually beer?
Wow, that equally does not surprise me.
It is actually
of course
registered as beer, yeah.
Oh, Wales.
Okay, I thought that one was going to be easy, so the rest are going to be very difficult for you, obviously.
Oh, no.
Okay, what is a taff in Welsh?
Well, that's like a Welsh person, isn't it? It's sort of like a... Well, it can be a friendly term within Wales, but it could also be a slight derogatory term outside of Wales, is what I'd say.
Okay, so when you call someone a taff in London, you're probably going to get hit over the head?
I mean, it depends. Like, we're all about the bants here in Wales, so if it's part of friendly banter, it's all good. If it's said in a derogatory manner, then yeah, we're very passionate and proud here in Wales. So yeah, it could be worse. You could call us English. Don't do that.
Oh, there we go. The war has started. Okay, now can you tell me the reason why the dragon is on the Welsh flag?
Oh, that's a really good one. Presumably because during Wales Flag Design Day, someone had had too much of the national drink. And when I tell you what, we'll show them in England, we'll put a dragon on it. Let them know who's in charge.
You come up with creative answers, I'll give you that much.
That's very true. That's very true. I don't actually know why it's. I presume, knowing Wales, it's something to do with mythology or folklore.
The reason the Welsh flag has a dragon on it is that Henry VII in the Battle of Bosworth, in 1485, decided to put a dragon on the flag to make it look more menacing. And that's when the flag had the first dragon on it, but it wasn't actually officially recognised until 1959.
Ah, interesting. Did not know that.
It took like 500 years for everybody in Wales to wake up and say, okay, we'll actually officially make that part of the Welsh flag now. So
I'd just like to add the caveat that my Welsh history is quite poor for a couple of reasons. Number one, I spent most of my adult life outside of Wales. And number two, they don't teach you, at least not in my school, a whole lot of Welsh history, because in the UK, for some reason, they're obsessed with the Second World War. So I can answer a lot of questions about the Second World War because that's all I remember doing in history. But at no point do I ever remember learning anything to do with Welsh history. So there's a fun fact for you.
Someone in Cardiff might open up a flag painting tourist site now where everybody can go along and paint dragons on a flag or something. That might be the next thing.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Name 4 famous Welsh people that will be known by everybody listening to the podcast show today.
Another fun fact for you, Gareth Bale, who I went to school with.
Okay.
Everyone knows Gareth Bale, right?
Yes, everybody will know Gareth Bale, yes.
Tom Jones.
Yes, okay. You get
Everyone wants to throw their knickers at him. Catherine Zeta-Jones, the actress.
Yes, she's my favourite, of course.
Yes, she's very good. So she's been in lots of like Hollywood films, hasn't she? And I'd say Dylan Thomas.
There's a couple on my list that people will know and probably may not think they do come from Wales. Richard Burton was born in Wales.
Absolutely.
Anthony Hopkins, he's Welsh.
He was actually thrown out of one of the Welsh colleges, I believe. I learnt that on Sian's food tour.
There you go. And Roald Dahl was also Welsh as well.
Yes, he was. Yes. We had a big Roald Dahl celebration here a few years ago as well. So the whole city came to life with lots of characters and performances and shows celebrating him. So that was really nice.
See, there you go. So there are famous Welsh people that people know all over the world, and a couple of those names people might have thought, oh, I didn't know they were Welsh, but the fact is they are Welsh. Pip, it's been lovely having you on the show again today. It's been really nice to hear you talk about your own country with passion and giving us some insight to some things to do that people wouldn't even dream of. Let's face it, trampolining, underground and bog racing. Who would have thought we'd be talking about that today?
It's such a fun country. And if any of your listeners want to know more about Wales, I've got some articles on my website, pipandthecity.com, or you can contact me on social media. I'm at Pip_says on Twitter, and I'm at PipSays on Instagram. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions about Wales or point you in the right direction in anything you need to know.
Brilliant. And I'll put all the links to Pip's site on the show notes today for everybody to have a look at. And Pip, just before I let you go today, I thought I'd close with a little bit of a gesture to you about something that we're both very passionate about. The last time I was in Wales was in November 2005, Pip, and I was sitting in the beautiful Millennium Stadium, and the score that day was 41 points to 3.
Yes. My favourite win was 2013. Wales.
No, hang on. 41-3, Pip. 41-3 to New Zealand, Pip.
Oh, to New Zealand. Oh, my days. I haven't had enough coffee today, let me tell you. Oh.
Fantastic. Well, listen, we're going to leave it at that, and I'd like you to go off now and have a chat to your husband about coming on my show next time and having a chat about what it's like to be a husband of a travel writer.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me, Mark. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Pip Jones, for being on the show again. Great to have Pip having a chat to us today about discovering Wales and all the amazing things that you can do there. So obviously try and get there during the rugby season, get along to the Millennium Stadium and really have an experience that's one out of the box that you can't really have anywhere else in the world, because when the Welsh start singing in that Millennium Stadium, the hairs on the back of your neck will go up. Fantastic to hear about bog racing, underground trampolining, but also the other great things to do on a trip to Wales. So there you go, book your trip to Wales, get over there and check it out any time of the year. You might want to catch a bit of sunshine during the summertime, but just put on another layer of clothes if you want to go during the cooler months of the year. Now, if you're looking for more episodes from the Global Travel Channel, all you've got to do is head over to the website at www.globaltravelchannel.com. There you'll find a whole heap of episodes on amazing guests that I've had on the show, talking about their travel experiences across the world, and there's something for everyone right there. If you want to download those episodes, that's easy as well. All you've got to do is go to places like Apple iTunes under the podcast section, go to apps like Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Castbox. They're all listed there on the website with a link that helps you download the podcast very easy onto your phone or mobile device. Okay, well, that's about it for me for this particular episode, folks. It's been great having you with us all the way through, and I look forward to the next time that I can bring you another podcast. My name is Mark Philpott, and until we meet again, be safe and stay well.